Hi. Um, I just recorded like another 4 minutes. I tried to record like a couple days ago a new video here, and it recorded for about 4 minutes or so, and then it like stopped and said that my phone was full, and my phone has been doing that a lot recently, like saying that something's full, and like I can't even like copy things to the clipboard without it just not copying it, and I have to turn off my phone and then turn it back on, and then apparently it can copy things to the clipboard again and like copy and paste and stuff, which happens to be a feature that I use a lot. Sorry, I'm like fighting a sneeze right now. I just tried to minimize my screen here because I wanted to read something off my phone, but it stops the recording when I minimize it. So I'm not actually sure what I want to do with that that information, because I wanted to read stuff. I wanted to read things, so I'm not sure how I want to proceed. I could just talk about it, I suppose. Some Tupperware I got from my mama's house. I don't know if you can hear this. I'm just making comfy sounds. I feel like this would be comfy. Don't mind my like I'm not even gonna mention my like alien long finger. I have Christmas cookies. These are like my mom's like world famous Christmas cookies. They look all messy and stuff because like we always make them so silly like every year. Like look at this one. This one's like thick encrusted with like all colors. I'm honestly like afraid to eat this one because it's like just hardened with frosting. And we have cute little angel. They're all like come in like lots of shapes. So here's like an angel. This is supposed to be an angel, I swear. If you like break off like the corners of frosting. It's an angel. Or it's kind of like a ghost actually. I swear this is the angel cookie. Like these are supposed to be like wings. Like I think you're supposed to be able to see like a ruffle here, like a little bit of a wave, but it's just a cookie. So it honestly just looks like a Pokemon Grimer. Like ooh. Yeah. I've like kind of started like a new tradition of like waking up every morning and like going on Threads app and like just like being nice to anyone on there that I see. People like post all sorts of sad things, and I'm just like, hey, like I see you, like don't worry, like it's gonna be okay, like we're all in this together, and like and I also like spend a lot of time like like this. Spending a lot of time like talking about my ideas and stuff, and like just kind of metabolizing. That's what I wanted to. How can I do it? Maybe I can pull it up on my laptop. There's internet on my laptop, right? And you can open up apps on the computer. I don't think I've ever done that before. I know like all the ASMR things is just like tapping on things. I swear I'll figure it out. It's not just tapping on things. It actually like hurts my nail. I don't know why. Okay. Let's see. My gosh. Honestly, my book has like become like sort of a mess because, well, I wrote the whole thing. The whole thing was like written at some point anyway before I started like moving things around a little bit and trying to go through it finally again and rewrite it all to make sure that it's proper the way that it needs to be. But it's just kind of a mess now because like I wrote it, I absorbed it, and now I am it. And I'm like living it every day in order to fully embody it and really discover it. Because like now it's here, it's all together. I can kind of show you a little bit. Here's some work. See, I don't even have the river on this side yet because this is a brand new page of possibility, the first page that I haven't even been working on. Because if I start doing the river, see, this is the river. Wait, hang on. I'll do a little preview. Here you go. This is the river. See, you can see all the words going streaming down the page. And honestly, it was a lot of effort to do that. So I've been weary about actually like putting in the effort to fill the river because there's so much writing that I still need to do, and the river is highly dependent on what I write there. Like I fill the river based on what isn't on the main page and what deserves to be on the main page. All the depth and nuance and the connections to that idea. But it's like it's gotten so far. But I'm gonna read possibility and then we can just see together how it sounds. Possibility, the seed child, because at the beginning of everything was a little seed. And whether that seed was truly a seed or what the scientists like to call entropy, where it's just like, it's like, say like the egg is not just the egg anymore, it broke, and the yolk itself as well broke. And so it's just like you know when you like crack an egg into a bowl and like the yolk accidentally breaks and it's just like this like just like this thing. Sorry, I'm just making sounds. Well, you know how it's like that? That's kind of like entropy, where it's just like this like spread, and in that spread is possibility. entropy is sort of like the sadder word for possibility, because it's like it's the state of chaos after it all ordered. So like apparently the universe is supposed to have like a rhythm. Y rhythm is the second name. It's supposed to have a rhythm of moving from possibility into what's possible back into possibility again, which is supposed to be like entropy into like order into entropy, which entropy, order, entropy just sounds correct, but lifeless. So possibility into existence or experience pattern is also part of it, in back into possibility. So it could have just been a seed, it could just be like a broken egg that slowly coalesces back into seeds and stuff, or like cooks itself. I'm not sure. But possibility is the seed child. The core of existence is pure possibility, a seed of all that is, longing to be all that could be. It is the boundless and infinite potential of all things, that which gives rise to every name in our world. Possibility is not just product, it is source. In the bend and coil, all moves along its currents, and all flows from it. When all is dark and quiet, and only the static of energy in the air hums, is when possibility is most alive. The universe grew from a seed of potential, of warmth, of growth, of desire, of dream, of fear, of waking. Possibility is energy, that which moves and circulates and spreads and transforms. Possibility cannot be created or destroyed, because it can transmute itself across the ages, and was here long before any notion of presence. Bound within the seed, possibility dreams of way, imagining all that becomes, gathering its fire for the journey, imagining of and making memory of everything, imagining to be not just more, but many, never alone along the path, imagining even us to walk alongside it, and in the heat of its branching venture, it softens the walls of impossibility, making possible for us to dream alongside it too. Possibility may be one in the seed, though in its name it holds all the company it could ever need. There's possibility. I think it sounds pretty good. I think it sounds pretty comfy and stuff, and like it gets the idea across, and I don't need to go endlessly into citations and proving points and stuff, and this, because for all to be possible, possibility had to have been first, and so possibility is first. What is possible? Possibility. There's your question and answer. Possibility is possible. And that, in that essence of that, it sort of gives the notion that impossibility is just a state of mind slash temporary, perhaps, because possibility is possible. And possibility itself, like I wrote in here, it softens the walls of impossibility. And that's our hands of choice. Choice does that very same thing. I have here rhythm as the next name, and rhythm is how everything unfolds naturally and moves. Everything is rhythmic. Everything has like a wave, comes in a wave. Everything has a frequency. Everything has chance and a pattern. And those are its two hands. The hands of rhythm are chance and pattern, probability and predictability, and they move the universe. Everything moves along a probabilistic curve and a predictable curve. Once you start seeing patterns, once you start noticing chances. And possibility dreamed of a hand of its own. And in us, not just us specifically, but thinking life, complex life, life that became complex enough to be able to wake up the way that we have, something that possibility dreamed up too. It wanted life, it wanted to be able to live through life and remember itself. And animals don't remember us. They are part of rhythm. Possibility pushes the boundaries of that, and our complexity arises. And life, able to perceive the universe, able to look back at possibility as expressions of possibility, completing the loop of life being able to interact with its existence and remember, and also move in the desires of our existence. So possibility wants us to make more possible. And so our hands are the hands of choice, which is the third hand of the universe. Everything moves along chance and pattern, but then choice can come through and enforce outcomes. Despite the chances, despite the patterns, we can make choices repeatedly in order to make sure that the choice goes through and possibility truly expands. And so, like, I honestly don't know what I was talking about here before I started talking about choice. Anyway, this is supposed to be just a rambly thing anyway, so I'm just gonna keep rambling on. What was I talking about? Just rhythm, chance, and pattern, and choice, and maybe I was talking about possibility itself, and I just wanted to talk about our hands. I think that's maybe what it was. Our hands are choice. Our hands are possibility. We are possibility. And when we move and act, we are possibility, pushing into the impossible. When we dream beyond what people say there is, oh, magic doesn't exist. Well, why do you sound so sad when you say that? Why do you sound so sad? Why do you want magic to exist? That's because we want more to be possible, always. And magic is the ultimate possibility to us. And I have a word for that. It just, it's funny because magic is possibility and energy is possibility. Energy is magic. Our life force, which is one of the things that I attribute as magic, our inner flame, is just our energy inside of us. It moves us to be awake. It moves us to be. It gives me the ability to even speak to you and share to you right now. It's possibility in itself. And energy not being able to be created or destroyed, having always been here, having infinite ability to transform. That's magic in itself. It's hard to even describe that. I mean, I don't even know if we have answers for that. I try not to delve too far into what we have for answers because I don't know, I have a lot of trouble like thinking about human-made systems. Humans make things in a certain way with order and rules and sorry, I have to like do that sometimes because my nerves my nerves have issues apparently. I've had a lot of nerve damage in my arms and my hands and stuff, and sometimes my hands, if I move them a lot, they just stop wanting to move. So for some reason, like cracking my wrists like kind of like wakes them back up. Again, I forgot what I was talking about. Humans do a lot of things, say a lot of things. What was I saying? I just woke up from a nap, so I guess my brain's just not awake just yet. I want to read Rhythm because it looks like it's written pretty well, I guess. It looks like it's formatted in the way that it needs to be. So let's see what Rhythm sounds like after Possibility. Rhythm is the pulse of possibility. It's like the heartbeat. It's like when I was imagining it, the seed in there and all the energy inside. There had to have been a heartbeat, a pulse. There had to have been something moving that energy. And like, I originally gave it to possibility because possibility is that energy. So I was like, well, possibility, possibility itself is pulsing and rotating and alternating inside and stuff. But there's another name for that, and it's rhythm. Possibility, in its longing, begins to hum its own heartbeat. In, out, out, in. The first pace, the first breath. Rhythm is the first language spoken, the music of motion. It is our baseline, our pulse, the steady boom boom that counts and keeps the tempo. Rhythm is both cycle and divergence, return and direction. Rhythm is the movement we feel inside before we take our first steps. As possibility leaps and bounds in the inner chambers, rhythm is felt, circulating and energizing. It is who teaches us the patience of becoming and shows us how all moves in waves, coming and going, turbulent, placid, choppy, smooth, breach. All pulses and moves with the rhythms of possibility. Rhythm is our first sense, allowing us to breathe, to take in, to push out. It is our first confirmation, the call and the answer. As it flows, it also ebbs, dynamic, yet circular, often returning to the familiar. As possibility dreams, rhythm takes care of it, alternating its energy, warming and incubating. In the rhythm within the seed, existence begins to wake. This one seems okay. I'm still rewriting things. Both of these rhythm and possibility pages are brand new, and I was in a mode of creation when I was making this book for the first time, and everything else has like a very specific like way of writing. So like for chance and pattern, it says the hands that shape the story of existence, and I added this chunk here, and I also added a little extra chunk here, but originally it just goes straight into chance is the hand of probability, what could be, might be. Pattern is the hand of predictability, what could be, will be. The first hand guides chaos, with luck, accident, gamble, and surprise. It is the sudden shift, the opening door. We can strive, risk, and hope because it teaches us we can. The second hand guides order with placement, sequence, habit, and inevitability. It is the steady step, the known return. We can plan, build, and rest because it teaches us we can. And then, seemingly at odds, yet they weave the same story. Chance forms knots to reveal pattern, and pattern threads the string for chance to follow and flow from. Through chance and pattern, we have a story to tell. So, this is still in the middle of getting rewritten. I added a little bit to it. I wrote the hands that shape the story of existence. That's the very beginning. And then originally it did go straight into chance is the hand of probability, but I added a little piece of it before. It says chance and pattern draw the fractal of reality. Chance marks anywhere and everywhere, and pattern traces the edges and draws lines between whatever chance draws. This is sort of like a simplistic way to like explain like what they do, just so that we can have like a visual here rather than just an explanation. And after the point where I wrote seemingly at odds yet they weave the same story, chance forms knots to reveal pattern, and pattern threads the string for chance to follow and flow from. I put, we witness and experience their artistry every moment, and we feel where they collide in coincidence and serendipity. I wanted to add these two names because coincidence and serendipity are very special to me personally, and they are where chance and pattern overlap, where it seems to be a chance happening, but also it seems to be an inevitable moment. It's sort of like fateful. And I could also add that name, fate, which I very well might. Coincidence, serendipity, and fate. Or fate. And fate. Serendipity and fate. Control S. And I've been rewriting the space page because originally space was possibility. I had space at the very top, and it seemed like whenever you're gonna make something, because I have to approach this project like a god. I have to be above and before all of things. So all the names, in order for there to be anything, you need space to be in the first place. So space was my very first, like, my big name. Space was my possibility, because once you have the empty space, anything can be possible. But once I started tracing the names and adding possibility as the seed and rhythm and the hands of chance and pattern, and trying to layer everything in a way that seemed to make sense, I started to imagine everything, all that is, all the material in the universe, and the energy, all bound within a seed. And this is everything. There's no space to move. It's just all bound up here. And like the walls of space are pushed up right against the all the material. So it's like, this is where like it starts to sort of prove science, because science says that the universe was in a state of entropy, and then slowly it contracted and became a ball, which is exactly what I'm talking about here. It became a ball, and that ball became so condensed, it became superheated, and in it becoming superheated, it expanded. And like, this is like the new version of the theory that I didn't know originally. Like, where I was still stuck on like the Big Bang thing, like it exploded and everything flew away. But they actually amended it recently. Actually, I'm not sure how recently, but they amended it, and it got so hot that it just expanded, and everything inside the expansion is space. So like it pushed it, it got super super giant. You can't see my hands anymore. It got super super giant, and we're like inside the loaf of bread that it became. We're like inside of it, and like so like it just became giant, and that's space now. And I sort of, after like making up my own theory and then realizing how close it was to science's, I decided to finally delve into science's theory to figure out what the heck they were talking about, just so I could try to fact check myself. And my idea originally was that it was a seed, and there's no walls around it or anything, because that's everything that is. And then I was thinking that it gets hot as well, because when we desire, we burn with passion. And it's the same thing for possibility. Possibility is stuck inside the seed. Possibility, with nowhere to move, just inside the seed, with everything all bound up just in one uni creation. I'm not sure if that's a word. It can't move. It can't be. It wants to live, and it wants to be, and it wants to be more, because possibility is always asking to be more. And so it heats up and it cracks the seed. And in the crack of the seed, everything dissolves and comes apart. And space is here now. There's space. And everything is like, just turns into like kind of like dust, the space dust. It all superheats inside. The inside of the seed slowly melts, and the outside of the seed slowly melts too. And it all just sort of splits and expands. It's very, very similar to science's. This is just my story, I guess. This is what the names want to tell me, what the names say their story was. And so, in the split of the seed, that's where space comes from. And all of the elements are just like hazing out, just swirling. And duality makes them vibrate and clash and break and become more and more and more, and change as time goes on. Change occurs, and these just start swirling and breaking and coalescing, and they coalesce into stars and nebulas and then stars, I should say. And then in the coalescence, in the coalescence, far be it from me to be ready with my vocabulary. Stars are born, planets are born, and in the space, there's movement. And with a balance of the elements, the habitable zone we're talking about, this is how science says it, the habitable zone, which is planets that rotate a star at a certain distance with a certain composition. They can, with a certain consistency of being, and time will slowly change it and grow life on that rock. Atmosphere will form and life will grow. And I forgot what I was talking about. like, what am I talking about? Space. I'm just talking about the sequence, I think, of things happening. um, yeah, space will start to grow, and in that the light, the energy, life is born, and energy is imparted into life. Everything has life force, which is the our flame of possibility inside of us. And plants have it too, and all the animals have it too, and nature is the first life. And so that's why I have nature as one of our names, because that's how the growth starts. It starts with life force. It's the flame of possibility that embeds in all of us and wakes us up. And it even wakes plants up. People like to think that like plants like aren't alive, they're not thinking, they're not doing so. Maybe they're not at our level, but they are at their own level. And they wake and move and grow. See, the leaves, they turn towards the sun. The petals, they turn towards the sun to get more energy to continue living. We're the same way. We have to eat and stuff to get more possibility, to keep being more possible. It's a funny system. But that is pretty much the roots of existence, and life being the pretty much like the final culmination. And then with, like I said earlier, with life completing the cycle of being able to remember its existence, being able to be aware of its existence, and be able to look back at the very start of time and to see where it came from, and to be able to make that connection, be able to remember all of our connections, where we came from, remember that we are interconnected. And so the final root is interconnectedness, because all exists together. All can exist. We need all of our parts to be. Otherwise, we won't be. We won't be the way that we are. It says it here, because all is interconnected, all can exist. We, plant, animal, stone, sea, star, and soul, are one. You guys are gonna love this book so much. I'm like already ready to cry about this. like it's so comfy. And as I scroll on, it's all written here. Here, I'll show you. Here, look at this. Here's my symbol for the universe. Although I think it needs a slight amending now. This is just like the program can make shapes and stuff, so like I made shapes with it. And this is the culmination page. Still talks about the 8 roots of existence, when actually I amended it, and now we have the 10th root, because it got it got larger, and I haven't really been down here too much. Here's the grove of experience starting, and then it moves right into life force. And here's life force. You might have thought magic didn't exist, but it does. I might change that, but I like it as well. Here's nature, the first life. Here's the first touchstone of origin, because nature and life force and nature, we need to just pause for a moment before we move into our own selves. And then this is how we start, innocent. We start innocent. And sensation and pain and play and joy. And here's another touchstone of learning, because this is how we learn. And then fear, because once we're joyful, we find ourselves vulnerable in our joy. everything is good, everything is aloof, everything's fine. We don't really know what pain is because it's just a funny feeling. Like, humans really think pain is kind of a silly, funny thing. We end up kind of laughing with it for a time until it really hurts us and we learn to fear it. And in our fear, we ask for trust. And in our trust, we find safety, which I think is supposed to be compassion between these, actually. Because in our trust, we'll find compassion, which animals have for one another. So this whole beginning chunk of the of the grove is actually like, it includes us, but also it's about like animals and stuff as well, because they are life alongside of us. I love the animals. We all love the animals. The animals show us what harmony looks like. That's where we learned they are the life that lives in the grove of nature. And we stepped outside of nature, which my next book will be all about getting us back to nature, but we did step outside of it. And so we are the same as animals up to a point. And so animals trust, animals have fear, animals have compassion, animals find safety, and they have to rest. And in their rest, they learn instinct. Instinct is an interesting one because like it's like almost like genetic wisdom. But at some point, instinct had to have come into play. Are we always born with instinct? I'm not so sure. I don't know. But there needs to be a chunk of learning before instinct can be developed. And so I have that. I have all the things beforehand that builds into instinct. And instinct is like, it's a lot of things, but like one of the two main things that instinct does is like it wants us to eat. So it's not exactly desire, but it's instinct of staying alive. And so we need to eat, and also the instinct to have legacy, to have longevity, and that's like mating and stuff, which me personally, I don't really do that stuff, but that's like part of our instinct is like continuing our line, because that's how life continues. That's how the fractal grows. Life is diversity, and so when it makes things, it just makes stuff, and all of its creations kind of look like this, and every one of those is a species, and depending on how strong they are, a version of a species anyway, depending on how strong those are, they'll continue to branch and splay on their own, create their own trees, family trees and stuff. And what was I talking about? I don't remember. Instinct, continuing trees. That's how you continue your tree. That's how you continue fractaling. And if you don't have instinct, then you will just end. Just be like the pinky over here or something like that, and then it just ends, and then all the rest of them continue to splay and split, and that's how little extinctions occur. And every single day, actually, I realized humans make micro extinctions, which are like, it's people giving up. When you give up, you make that fractal extinct. You kill that path of the world. You gave up. You put a rock over it, and you're done. There's so many things that we gave up on, all the things that we made, and now capitalism wants us to make them in a way that they break, so that we can make them again, and also so that they can be outphased, and we can go to the next new thing and the next new thing and the next new thing. And that's possibility. Possibility is like a dangerous engine. And that's why we have rhythm right after it, because you need rhythm to temper possibility. Otherwise, possibility will just consume and become over and over and over and over. And it does still shape our world, but we need rhythm to slow it down a bit. And then this is honestly, now it's like I have to move everything around. I can't even believe that I haven't moved all these pages around. I had to move, and there's been a lot to do lately, so I've been a little bit distracted, but like I said at the beginning of this video, I have become this book. I am every name in this book, just like all of you are. You're all every name in this book, but I have been here. I wrote every page. I've been studying it. I've been speaking to people online that have been asking the questions like, what is consciousness? Like, why are we awake? I didn't know people cared about that question. I didn't know that even mattered. But I have answers to it. It's in the book. And it's not even that the answers are in the book. It's that by embodying all of these names and learning of each of these names, you get an infinite depth on each of these names. And when you ask a question that you don't know the answer to, you can lean on these names and you can just think about it more clearly than the way that people on the internet often think about things. They just ask a question and their mind just goes blank. They don't have like a framework of thought for how to get to the depth of that question, depth of the answer. And it's all in here. I swear. Like, people could like ask a question about like anything online, and I could just be like, just pull some sort of wisdom from these pages, and it's applicable. So like, I've been doing that online. I've been talking to people, and I've just been articulating the wisdom that is this collection of us: integrity, grace, harmony, love, beauty, and aspiration. I moved kindness all the way up here to with beauty and aspiration, because kindness is an aspiration of its own, and it's not something that we immediately reach for all the time. It is when we're innocent, when we are first born. Children are immediately kind. That's because we are good. We are good. You are good. I am good. We can be bad, but that's because we are good. I realized today that we only know something is because of the other thing that it isn't. Like, silence is what made me think about this, is that we only know silence because there is sound. In order to know one half of something, you have to know the other half. The other half has to exist for us to know it. What is shadow if there was no light? We're only in darkness, but how could we know if there's no light? It's the same thing for like everything, which is really cool. Like, how could we know softness if there was no hardness? How could we know ease if there was no difficulty? I don't know. It's so cool that the duality of nature defines itself. I don't know how else to say that, those words, but I don't even know how I got onto that because I was talking about kindness. How can we know kindness if there is no cruelty? And, yeah, words. I forgot what I was talking about. And then the garden for goodness. Yes, so there's a lot of work still to do, but I am living that work for now. I'm metabolizing everything so that one day I will just be able to do it again. I'll be able to write again. And I am writing slowly. I have work and stuff, and I have survival to tend to, sadly. So I will be working slowly and thinking about all of this stuff and getting it together. And if you guys want to hear more, you can read all of my replies, because I guess Threads just lets you go onto someone's profile and then read everything they've ever written on the app, which is really funny. You can just like look through my replies. Underscore Soride on Instagram. SORITHE. And I think I've talked a little bit about Soride, but maybe we can talk about her next time or something, because I wrote some more things about her, and Soride is just such a special entity and a gift that I want to give you all at some point. Words. Thank you for being here. I think I'm just gonna end it here. 52 minutes in, you guys should probably be like knocked out because I've just been rambling this whole time, and like, imagination. Sweet dreams.